Yes guys, welcome to the first video on the channel. It's Cal on Bundesliga. Thank you all so much for the support on Twitter and of course on getting the subscribers before this first video is out. As I record this, we're on 15 subscribers, like within about an hour of me uploading the actual channel, so I'm very grateful for that. I just want to do a little quick disclaimers. I have no hatred towards any team in the Bundesliga. I think I need to make that clear. I don't know how many people on Twitter understood that. There isn't a team in the Bundesliga I dislike other than Red Bull Leipzig, but we don't talk about them. And I know there's another few clubs in the Bundesliga that German fans don't really like or appreciate, and I understand that, but specifically Red Bull Leipzig are the team that I don't know about them. Also, if my accent is too strong, I apologise. I am trying to speak as clear as I can and as slow as I can. If it's too much, I will try again in the next video. Just let me know in the comments. Also, let me know in the comments what sort of videos you want to see on the channel. For this video, I just decided I would do my favourite player for each club in the Bundesliga. Just sort of to let you guys get to know me a bit better and see the reasons why I like certain players. Some of them are for silly reasons and some of them are for just genuinely like a player that I like watching. Now, of course, I'm not in the know about the Bundesliga. I don't watch every game in the Bundesliga. I watch as much as I can, but it's not easy in Scotland to watch German football, so I do try and watch as much as I can. So maybe there's players who are better than the people I'm picking for these teams, or whatever the reason is. I understand that, but you've got to understand that I watch very minimal, I try to watch as much as I can, but it's very difficult. So take that into consideration when you hear the choices that I pick for each team. And yeah, let's just get straight into it.
My right hand says she trouble, and now I got a boogie with the devil.
Now for Augsburg, I've chosen Ruben Vargas. Now this one is fairly straightforward. He's a player who I think, now I've mainly watched him play for Switzerland as opposed to for Augsburg, but he's a player that I really like. I think he's very exciting to watch. I think he's one of those players that gets you up off your feet, up onto your feet, sorry, and can just create something out of nothing in little pockets of space. He's very quick. The thing I do find weird about him is that he looks like 19 and 30 at the same time somehow. I don't know how he's done that. Fair play to him. But I think he's a very exciting player, and I would generally like to see him at another club, maybe someone who I could watch a bit more often, because I'd like to see him play more often. Please bear with me with the pronunciations. Let me know in the comments how to pronounce clubs' names. Now this one, if you know the club I support, then you'll understand why I've picked Josip, if you know the clubs he's played for and stuff like that. But he's an ex-Celtic player. This one was fairly easy for me. Obviously, him being an ex-Celtic player, straight away, it jumped right out at me. But not only that, he was absolutely incredible at Celtic. Down that right-hand side, he just absolutely dominated the league. He was good in the Champions League, and he was just such a good player for us at a time where we needed a right-back. He came in and he was just absolutely fantastic. No complaints ever, just came in, did the job, played left-back sometimes as well. Obviously went to the Qatar World Cup with Croatia and was absolutely fantastic, especially in that game against Brazil where Croatia were flying, and Juranovic was the main man in that squad at the time, just bombing up and down that right wing, just causing all sorts of problems. Incredible player. I'm glad he got a move to a top league, because I think he did deserve it, but I do wish he got more game time in Berlin.
My little lady, don't you cry no more. The most precious thing.
It's another ex-Celtic player. This time it's Christian Gamboa. Now, Gamboa is the sort of opposite of what Juranovic was, in terms of he played for Celtic for 3 years and only made like 31 appearances or something like that. It wasn't an impact on the club per se. He was there, he did his job off the bench when he needed to, but over 3 years making 30 appearances, it wasn't the key man in that squad. He was a decent enough player, but he never really made much of an impact at Celtic. Obviously then left and went to Bochum on a free, I believe, a free transfer, and ever since then he's been at Bochum. I don't know how much he's done at Bochum. I don't know how much you guys rate him. Any Bochum fans in the comments, let me know, what do you rate Christian Gamboa? But he's my pick simply for being an ex-Celtic player.
Same shit, different day. Hit maintain for a fade. All day been chasing that wage.
David Kovnacki. Now, the reason I've chose Kovnacki is a bit of a funnier reason, a bit of a less serious reason. About 5 years ago, I want to say, maybe less, I'm not sure. David was at Lech Poznan, and when he was at Lech Poznan, towards the end of the FIFA cycle, I decided to do a career mode with a Polish club. I've got a soft spot for Poland. I've grew up around Polish people all my life, and I really do like Poland. It's one of my favourite countries. And I decided, you know what, I'll do it with Lech Poznan. Obviously they've always had Scottish players like Barry Douglas and stuff like that at the club, so I was like, I'll do it with them. Barry Douglas was at the club at the point as well before he went to Leeds, and David Konaki scored 50 goals in one season and carried me to the Champions League final. We ended up winning that as well. He didn't score in the final, but he just absolutely blew up for me, and ever since then I've followed his career from all the different clubs he's been at. And yeah, so Werder Bremen's my favourite player at Werder Bremen, is David Kovnacki because of FIFA.
Now tell me what you know about that. See me, I really done them laps. Add, subtracted, that's what I learned.
It has to be one man and one man only. If you follow my Twitter, you would see. I just love him. I just love him, especially when he got that call up to the German squad. He got into the team, and then he goes and gets an assist. I love him, and it's Nico Schlotterbeck. Of course it is. He's the absolute GOAT, and I don't care what anyone says. He makes that German defence so much stronger. I think he's massively underappreciated. Obviously, he did have that little scare in the game early on, but after that scare, he just brushed it off like it didn't happen, and he was just absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, getting that assist as well, which was huge. I just love him. He's one of my favourite players in the Bundesliga, never mind just Borussia Dortmund, so he was always going to be on this list.
Back and I can't come last in the race, so I had to just cut them off. Now tell me what you know about that. See me.
Kevin Trapp. The reason I have chose Kevin Trapp, as you can probably tell, it's because of one game in particular. A game in which Kevin Trapp made a save in the 117th minute of extra time against Rangers in the Europa League final. I would have chose Boré for this. Well, obviously he's not at the club anymore, so I've had to choose someone else, and I've went with Trapp for that save alone. He has saved Scottish football fans from having to listen to Rangers fans talk for the rest of time about this one trophy. So for that alone, the whole of Scotland would probably pick Kevin Trapp. Yeah, what a man. That save was just phenomenal. And yeah, I'm forever grateful to him for that. So Kevin Trapp, you're the man.
But me, I don't rap about dot dots. Just saying that same shit, talk about hot blocks. Brag is fucking boring.
Listen, one thing I love more than anything in the world is a one club player. It's something, I don't know why, but I just love it. There's like the likes of, you've got Iker Muniain at Athletic Bilbao, you've got obviously James Forrest at Celtic, you've got so many players, obviously over history, you've got like Maldini and stuff like that as well. There's so much respect for it, especially when a club isn't doing as well as it should be, or the ship is starting to sink. It's so easy for football players to just jump ship onto another club and just pretend that nothing's happening. But players like your Christian Günthers, they don't. They stick with the club that gave them the chance, and I just love it. It's something where it annoys me because in the likes of Messi, where people are saying, oh, he's not the GOAT because he never tried in other leagues or whatever, Barcelona gave him everything. Like he's well within his right to repay Barca as much as he wants. So things like that, like one club players for me will always just take the top spot. And Christian Günther is a perfect example of that. There's a lot of them in Germany as well, I know, especially like Hoffenheim. I think there's like 6 players that have been there for 10 years plus, which is just insane to me, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, Christian Günther is on the list. Next up is Heidenheim. Now, this one was actually very hard, I won't lie. I don't really have much of a reason. I've picked Jan Nicholas Bester, and literally the only reason I've picked him is because I had a good card on FIFA. He had a good Team of the Season card, and he was quite fun to use. So, other than that, I don't know what to say. That's the reason I've chose Jan Nicholas Bester. It just seems like he's very reliable for Hoffenheim. He plays a number of positions. He's not one of those players who's like a bit of a diva. He'll just be like, he'll just complain because he's playing out of position. The manager's more than happy to just play wherever he's needed to play, and just fight for the team. And for that reason alone, he is why he's my favourite player.
Yeah, my piece like a palm tree. Handle it well, I'm an OG. Pour up a glass of the spade.
Now, this one is a bit silly, I won't lie, but Holstein Kiel, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think I am. But I've went with Lewis Holtby, and I won't lie, I was looking through the squad, and I only know of two players, Jan Fiat Arp and Lewis Holtby. Obviously, Lewis Holtby was decent back in the day at Schalke, had a lot of potential. Everybody was really excited to see how he would go on. Unfortunately, he didn't hit the heights. He went to Fulham, wasn't great, and just sort of fizzled out. Now he's at Holstein Kiel. It's a shame because I really did have big hopes for Lewis Holtby, but sometimes it just isn't to be, and unfortunately he's one of those players. But he's my favourite player at Holstein Kiel, so always have that to at least look at, I suppose.
Handle it well, I'm an OG. Pour up a glass of the spade. Jet ski boy, I'm on the way.
Next up then, we have the club who shall not be named. And my favourite player at this club is Dani Olmo. Now, what I've wrote here is a player who I think is massively underappreciated. I don't know about in Germany, but definitely outside of Germany, you don't hear much about Olmo. He is an incredible football player, and he's unfortunately playing for an advertisement board, which is true. He deserves a move to a big club because, let's be honest, right now he's not at a big club. And since Dortmund want to buy the rest of the league, they might as well just make a bid for Dani Olmo, because imagine Dani Olmo at Dortmund, and it would be the perfect replacement for Royce in my opinion. Now, I'm a sucker obviously for Spanish players. It's something I just love, and to see him at Dortmund I think would just be incredible. I really think it'd be the perfect move. Let me know, Dortmund fans and advertisement board fans, what do you think?
I'm over the moon, like, oh my days, it was the best feeling ever.
It's another ex-Celtic player in Jeremy Frimpong. Now, Jeremy Frimpong came up to Celtic from, I want to say he came up from Man City, I could be wrong in that, but he talks about it in an interview where he says that he packed his bags, he was on his way up, and then it almost just didn't go. He was scared to come up to Celtic, but he says he was glad that he did eventually do it. It's one of the best experiences of his career. This guy, like, straight away, as soon as he came into Celtic, it just won all of the Celtic fans' hearts. He clearly hadn't been media trained at Manchester City, so when he came to Celtic and he was doing interviews after games, it was like just the most excited, like, it was like a little excited puppy, just so happy and energetic. His interviews were absolutely incredible. If you ever get the chance, go and watch Jeremy Frimpong interviews at Celtic. You will just, it is the best thing ever. You'll love it. I'm so glad that he managed to leave Celtic and go on to win things, especially at a club like Bayer Leverkusen, who they just sort of plucked him out of nowhere and just went, he's the man that will do, and it worked, and he's absolutely flying. Best right back in the world right now in my opinion, and I'm just so happy for him. The guy deserves it.
And I don't want you growing up like me though, wandering the roads.
Next up then we have Mainz, and this one again, not real life performances as I've never actually seen him play, but Nelson Wiper is who I've went for, and simply because on Football Manager I signed him for Celtic and the guy just scored like a barrel load of goals for me. I think he was at the club for 9 years and he's just scored like some ridiculous goals. Not as good as Henrik Larsson, mind you, but he was up there with the greats at Celtic on Football Manager. So Nelson Wiper, he is my favourite at Mainz.
My little lady, don't you cry no more. My new blessing, the queen that made.
Next up then, this one will be interesting for my Twitter followers because, as you guys know, my favourite team is Cologne. in Germany. And next up we have Borussia Mönchengladbach. Now, my favourite player is Julian Weigl. The reason for this is because I follow Benfica. I have like all their merch, I have scarves, I've got tops, I've been to a Benfica game. So it was the obvious choice was Weigl, but there's a few players at Mönchengladbach that I do like. I like Kramer, I like Neuhaus, I like Alvedi and Leiner. These are like, that's just a few of the players. Like, there's actually quite a lot of Borussia Mönchengladbach players I do like. I know my Cologne followers won't appreciate me saying that, but I need to be honest. And yeah, there's a few players at Mönchengladbach that I really do like.
Taking them shots to the face. The smart girl won't give me brain. The street.
For Bayern Munich then, this one, I don't think anyone will ever expect me to say this is my favourite player at Borussia. I don't think anyone will expect me to say this is my favourite player at Bayern Munich. But my favourite player is Liam Morrison. Now the reason for this is he's an ex-Celtic player, for one, and two, he's Scottish. We have a Scottish player playing for Bayern Munich, albeit it is Bayern Munich's second team, or their B team, but ex-Celtic and Scottish is just automatically going to be my favourite player. Like, it doesn't matter. It could be the worst player in the team. He's Scottish and played for Celtic. Good enough for me. But as for the first team, it's Thomas Müller. It's got to be Thomas Müller. The guy is the greatest man in football. I will die on that hill. He is Mr. Football for me. Like, I could watch just videos, compilations for hours and hours of Thomas Müller just being Thomas Müller. His personality, his love for football, it just makes football more enjoyable for everyone around him. And like, it'll be a sad day when Thomas Müller retires. I just love the guy so much.
I tell her come ride on my stubble. My right hand says she trouble. And now I got a boogie with the devil.
Next up we have the newcomers St. Pauli. I think it's pronounced St. Pauli in Germany, but we would call it St. Pauli. Partner club of Celtic. If you didn't know, St. Pauli and Celtic have a partnership, which is very cool. My favourite player is their captain, Jackson Irvine, the penultimate ex-Celtic player on this list. Yeah, that's right, another ex-Celtic player. Even to this day, he was at Celtic years ago, maybe 10-15 years ago. To this day, he still reps Celtic tops in Germany and on international duty with Australia. The guy loves Celtic. Never really made much of a big impact because he was so young at Celtic, but he loves Celtic and I love him. He's an absolute goat. Jackson Irvine, what a man.
Pop the bottle and let's bubble. I tell her come ride on my stubble. My right hand says.
Next up, it's the team that's top. I am wearing VfB Stuttgart. Now, my favourite player for them, it's got to be Jeff Chabot. The reason? FC Cologne. But I also do really like Stiller. I think that guy is going to go to the top. I think he's going to be an outstanding player. And he's just so fun to watch. Like, every time I've watched Stuttgart, he's been the player I've enjoyed watching the most. On top of, like, obviously all these great players that have been at you guys. You've got obviously like, your likes of Garassi and stuff like that. But Stiller for me was a standout. I love the guy. I don't know what it is, but it stands out so much to me. And I think he generally will go to a top club.
Trouble. And now I got a boogie with the devil.
And finally then, we have Wolfsburg. And of course, I had to end on a Celtic player, ex-Celtic player even. Moritz Jens is my favourite Wolfsburg player. This is one guy who I was really excited to see come to Celtic. I wanted this guy to just come in and just dominate the league, just smash everybody, the way Van Dijk did at Celtic and the way that Carter Vickers currently is at Celtic. Unfortunately, it never really worked out for Moritz Jens at Celtic, but from the interviews I've seen of him and the way he talks about Celtic and his time here, it seems to have had a really good impact on him, and he's enjoyed it. He talks good about Celtic, even though he never really made too much of an impact. And he's a player that I genuinely really do hope has a fantastic career. I just hope he propels straight up and just becomes a top defender, because the guy is just, even as a person, he is just a top guy, and I'm so happy that he even had the chance to wear a Celtic shirt. To see him in a Celtic shirt was yeah, he's just, what a guy Maurice Jens is. I absolutely love the guy. But that is my list for my favourite players for every Bundesliga club. Let me know who your favourite player is for each Bundesliga club is in the comments. Again, let me know what videos you want to see from me, how my accent was, is it too strong, was I speaking too quick, and yeah, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends if you want to. I'm sure the Borussia Mönchengladbach fans will be sharing this about, saying this guy likes Borussia Mönchengladbach, but at the end of the day, it's FC Cologne.